I am Norma Shorey, and I am the chair of the Membership Growth and Development Committee. And we are very pleased that we are able to have you in this session, this experience exchange with you. Carmel is now joining, but Carmel and Stephen were on the subcommittees who have assisted in organizing this experience exchange. So we thank both Carmel and Stephen, and we'll hear more from them. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so this experience exchange is using digital technologies to enhance our IMC operations and relationships. And it is one of the experience exchanges that our Membership Growth and Development Committee has curated to support our IMCs. Our activities today are, the welcome and opening remarks. And I really want to say thank you for those who are joining us and those who came this morning and are rejoining us, Nick and Stephen and Carmel and Raymond and, of course, Rima and Kuzema. So we are going to cover very briefly today. Just want to give you some background and context for the experience exchange, and then we will have presentations live by Canada and in person by Canada and pre-recorded by New Zealand. There'll be opportunities for you to ask questions, and let's have some plenary discussion and some feedback, and then we will move forward. So the question is, what is the MGDC? Many of you will know that that is one of the subcommittees, the working committees of the Institute, the the Institute for Management Consulting Institute. And our mission is to increase the number of member IMCs to engage and support them in functioning effectively. And you will know that we have done a number of things previously in terms of building our membership. We link up with our IMCs in different ways. And we have recently, in 2024, 2025, we shared at the conference, identified the Charter of Collaboration, which is an initiative to establish a better framework for cooperation and communication within our management consulting community and profession. And that Charter of Collaboration outlines the mutual expectations, rights, responsibilities related to membership. And it's also a guiding document to foster alignment and promote collaboration and accountability among not only ICMCI, but make sure that ICMCI and the member institutes and affiliates are on the same wavelength. So our Charter of Collaboration is something that is recent and is pulling together a lot of things that we have done before, but in a cohesive way so that everybody is on the same wavelength. And it will be, we are in the process working along with our other committees, including the IQA, pulling together and finalizing the application documents and the related documents to the Charter of Collaboration. But why are we here today? This experience exchange came out when we we added some questions to the membership survey. And one of those questions was, IMCs, what are your areas for learning? What are the areas that you would like to improve on? And IMCs, what are your strengths? What are the areas that you feel you can contribute to the development of others? And from that survey, that membership survey, we have identified a number of key areas where the IMCs said the majority, where there were a lot of responses in terms of areas for learning. And then we said, these are areas for learning. So what are the IMC's strengths? Which of the IMCs have the strengths in this area? And that is how we therefore were able to identify the IMCs who would present on different topics. And so up to date, we have had three experience exchanges. In May 2024 on marketing and attracting new members. In February 2025 on income generating strategies. In July 2025, we had two in 2025, building synergy with professional services organizations. And we had not formal presentations, but a breakout process where IMCs were able to interact and share. And that is part of our initiative to build the linkages between IMCs. Now, in this month, we are looking at another key area using digital technologies to enhance IMC operations and relationships with their stakeholders. And we have two presenters in this one. There's IMC New Zealand, who will be presenting pre-recorded because it was 8 p.m. their time when they presented this morning at 4 a.m. my time. And CMC Canada, we will be happy to welcome Chris from Canada. Let me just say that as we go through this presentation, I want to ask you to think about this. How does your IMC use and integrate digital technologies? What are some of the challenges that your IMC faces in integrating digital technologies in your operations? And what questions do you have for the presenters and other IMCs, which could help you deal with the challenges faced by your IMC? So just keep these perspectives in mind, have your questions, so that will lead us to a very thought-provoking and vibrant interaction. So on that note, I would like to introduce Chris Harper. I'm going to go to stopping share, and I will introduce Chris Harper, who is the president, the executive director for CMC Canada, and I would like Chris, please move forward with your sharing of what your IMC is doing in this regard. Over to you.
Good. Thanks. Hey, thanks, Norma, and thanks everyone for being here today. Happy to answer any questions as we go throughout the presentation. But I'll share with you some of what we do here in Canada. So I have a background in technology, and so some of the things that you see are I help sustain and maintain in our organization. But one of our colleagues at CMC Canada before me, Janine, she had created a lot of our technology architecture and how our different systems and automations work. So I'm going to walk you through some of what we do and how we do it and with what tools, and happy to answer any questions. Technology in our contexts focuses on four specific areas: learning development, certification administration. So Susan and the IQAs would understand this, the general administration, and then program management. And there's a few design principles that you're going to see in here. First of all, we wanted to maximize technology availability while also acknowledging that the organization has limited access to these types of skills without paying for them. And so the technologies that we use have to be sustainable by individuals who are not extremely technical on the IT side of things or information technology. We also, a lot of the solutions, as I've observed over the years prior to my arrival in June, have been purchased based on their capability in resolving needs, which is good, but also based on cost constraints. And so, you're not going to see Salesforce implemented inside of CMC Canada, for example. It's just too cost prohibitive, despite the capabilities being very strong. Multiple systems. So we don't have one system necessarily. We have multiple systems, and they use what are called in technology APIs, which are called application program interfaces. Essentially allows different systems to talk to each other and transit data in a secure fashion, assuming the API has been designed securely. And so we use this as a means of reducing the need to do duplicate entry. And so that when you enter one thing in one system, it can update multiple systems. Or when you change a situation or a context on a CMC candidate, for example, in one system, it adds them to various other distribution lists for communication based on those changes. And so, and then of course, cybersecurity is very critical. And so, I'm our executive director, but I'm also our IT administrator. And so I regularly work through the Microsoft platform to ensure that our environments are secure and that we have proper management and protection of information inside of our organization. So it's only accessible to authorized individuals at all times. So learning and development, what we focus on here, you're going to see two solutions at play. So we in March moved toward, and I should say two before I start. These are solutions that are available in North America. I cannot sure and I can't guarantee that Thinkific, for example, and Monday.com are available in all jurisdictions, but if they are, that's amazing and they're accessible to you. But I just wanted to caveat that before I start naming the different solutions here. So learning and development. So we run our certification programs and our various professional development programs through Thinkific. And so it is a modern cloud-based learning management platform. And we use it for course registrations and to make sure materials are available. And we use it for certification programs as well as other programs that we run. Really key to learning and development is the user experience, right? Oftentimes, when a potential future CMC comes to us, their first interaction is to take one of our learning programs. We need to make sure that this is a very positive, modern, and professional introduction, right? No square slides. We're looking for proper slides. We're looking for them to be well laid out and presentable so they look good because they are good. And so Thinkific is a platform that we migrated to in March, and the feedback we have received is positive. And for my eyes, the improvement is very visible. It also reduces the need for what are called SCORM files, which are files that are used to import learnings into different learning management systems. You can just click and drop and create the learning programs directly in the platform without having to spend an extra couple $1,000s to have a program that modifies SCORM files. And then it also manages asynchronous and synchronous learning. So we have some asynchronous learning that's available there, and folks are able to register and pay directly through the platform, and that goes back to our general ledger accounts appropriately. And then we have certification candidates going through our learning programs, and so we also ensure that once they've completed certification in Thinkific, we track that in Monday.com so that we understand that they've completed requirements on their journey towards becoming a CMC. Certification administration is another area where we have focus, obviously. And so your membership, it may be new to some of you, that's an association management system. So it manages our member classifications, our dues. There's automation around dues, renewals, and collections and things, which in Canada, we renew our dues annually. Your certificate as a CMC expires if your dues are not paid annually, for example. But a lot of this data is managed in Monday.com, and I've included some examples below of how we track certification information. By the way, I will say that this spreadsheet the spreadsheet looking image you see actually goes off the screen quite a ways. I could only fit so much of it in, but each candidate essentially is assigned to a stream, and we track all of their journey and their information around the certification. And so you can see here, good news because we're going through our triennial audit. You can see here how we track the details of each candidate based on their stream so that we're able to provide attestation to the completion of the certification requirements. And what's really cool about Monday.com is there's a lot of automation that can be done in the platform, and I'll show you a little bit of that in just a moment here. And so again, we're tracking the candidates, we're able to report on this information. I have some skills in artificial intelligence. And so we call this in North America and Canada, Skunkworks project, which means this is I'm experimenting here, but we're developing a little bot, an AI-enabled bot that I've called Certi. And the purpose of this is to make the questions that candidates have around certification and their journey towards the CMC some basic questions. It would be able to answer them. It could also provide more advanced and detailed support on the administration side for folks that are administering certification processes. So it's going to be an internal bot at first while we train it and make sure that it's correct before we decide, if we decide, to expose it externally. We can get into agents and things like that, but I'm like, you know what? Let's start at first grade before we jump to university. In terms of artificial intelligence, the place to do that is with a bot that can answer some questions. Program management. So we administer a large program with the federal government here in Canada. There's a lot of detail that needs to be managed in this program. And again, you see Monday.com making an appearance. It's a very flexible platform. And so it enables us to track very detailed information. It sends emails on our behalf and populates that with relevant information from the different program participants. And it also allows us to automate where information goes into other systems. In addition, Monday.com, we pay for an additional module that allows a portal. So our program participants can log in and actually see the status of their projects, for example. CMCs can log in and see the status of the projects. I've seen in our system that at some point we had intended on building out a portal for candidates that were on their pathway to the CMC designation. Still an option here. A little bit more work to do around what that looks like, but it would be great for candidates to see in one dashboard where they sit and what needs to be completed. Whereas a lot of that is done by emails and asynchronous communication nowadays. And so it would be good to get that into a systematized approach. But for now, we use this for program management. This is an example of an unpopulated email that the system would send on our behalf. And so you can see here it's pulling various information from the Monday board, populates this email, and sends the email through automation. So we actually don't, because we deal with about 100 or more projects of this nature on an annual basis. And each project involves 3 CMCs, lots of stakeholders and communication going on. And this just reduces the amount of administration that we actually have to put our fingers on keyboards for. These are some of the automations that you see in Monday.com. So it's a lot of if-then statements and conditional statements. And so you can see it'll do automated follow-ups when I'm looking at some of these automations. And you can see here it's also sending a specific email template with relevant information based on who that recipient is through Monday.com as well. And then here's an example of what their portal looks like. So it's, they log in with a secure username and password, and we've completely configured this, again, with very low technical skills in the organization. Just they're not abundantly available. So a lot of what you're seeing was Janine. She had self-taught herself over the years. And so, very possible, I think, for any individual to learn these skills, but it does require a desire for very close attention to detail, because a lot of these integrations and automations, these are not high level work. You must be able to be very detailed. And that was clearly a strength of our colleague Janine at the time here. So general administration, so Zoom, you're going to be familiar with Zoom. We use it for our oral assessments that we do here in Canada for certification, as well as for events where we have more stakeholders than a Teams meeting would hold. But we use Microsoft and Microsoft Teams and SharePoint as part of that platform to provide board documentation and access. It can be a pain. I will be honest, it's not extremely user friendly and clear, but a very quick step-by-step. I included my emails for new board members, for example, that I sent out this week so that they know how to access and log in with their guest accounts. Copilot is available in the Microsoft suite, and for those that are familiar, it is connected to OpenAI as well as Microsoft's internal large language models. And so it is a safe, protected area where we can use our confidential data in the context of artificial intelligence while knowing that our confidentiality is preserved. Canva is a big one. So we do lots of marketing and communications and a lot of graphics and things like that. And Canva is an AI-enabled platform that allows us to do that much more professionally, despite not being graphic designers and whatnot ourselves. And so we use Canva. We track all of our assets, visual assets, I should say, in Canva. So it also becomes like a repository for our branding guidelines in a live environment, because Canva is configured to always create artifacts using our branding requirements, and it does that through its training. And then Zapier is a orchestration automation platform. And so it's not something where I go in and I kind of interact with it. It is kind of like the plumbing that makes sure all the right data gets to the right places through the integration. So we call it more of an orchestrator. It's orchestrating the integrations. And one such integration, for example, is when in Monday we update that someone has taken like an ethics course. Zapier has an automation that goes to MailChimp and knows to remove that person from the ethics distribution list for emails because they've already taken it. And we don't want to advertise registration to them if they've already completed that requirement. And so it simplifies things like that. I will say Zapier is way more powerful of a platform based on my own investigations than we're currently using it for. And so I'm starting to look at how we can do that better. One item and the final item that I'll put on here that isn't on here is type form. So type on a keyboard form. Very good, like professional looking visual diagrams. We use them as intake for interested potential future CMCs. And there's a lot of different conditions and things that go on with Typeform. We use it as well for our board nomination processes. And again, Typeform is integrated to our other things. So when somebody fills out Typeform, for example, it creates a lead in Monday that we follow up with as a potential future CMC. And so you can see without like buying a Salesforce or something like that, we started to create a little bit of a homemade architecture here that serves our needs in Canada, lets us have the benefits of modern technology while I think minimizing and ensuring that the costs are managed. Because as a former chief finance officer, what I can tell you is when you start to have multiple platforms and multiple systems like we've discussed today, your small expenses add up to a large expense. And so one of the things that I did when I joined CMC Canada was I actually went through and kind of, trim the hedge here around the software that we did have, what was actually adding value and what was not adding sufficient value. So what you see is post rationalization of our system landscape, but all of these tools together serve us fairly well. Have we got it perfect? Absolutely not, but I think we're in a good place here and we're continuing to move in a positive direction. And so, Norma, that's what I would have to share from your friends over here in Canada. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. And actually, before we go to listen to the pre-recorded presentation from New Zealand, I would love to ask if there are any questions that people have about Chris's presentation and what CMC Canada is doing.
Norma, if I can jump in.
Yes.
Hi, Chris. I'm
Hi,
very
Susan.
pleased to see you. I know you're mid-assessment with Martin right now.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your presentation. It's really amazing. So please make sure that Martin has visibility. I'm sure you may have already has visibility of this because I think this is all great information to feed into what we're looking at in terms of best practice. So yeah, I see the email trail between you and Martin, so I know it's happening. But yeah, thank you so much for that. It's very inspirational and reinforcing in terms of what you're doing with CMC and your system. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Susan. Yeah. Any day that IT is inspirational is a good day for IT. So that's great. Glad it could inspire some folks. Yes. Dan, happy to answer your question. Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Chris. Really appreciate the presentation. I have a few questions if there's time.
Yeah, please.
Yes. That's Dan speaking.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Are you willing to share any of the cost information for the primary tools there?
I'd have to pull it together, but yeah, it'll be in my journal entries. Yeah, I mean, I could tell you off the top of my head, but that wouldn't be easy for you to do the math. So yeah, we can pull that together. Yeah. Generally speaking, our IT costs were, I think, previously, around 35,000 per year, and I brought that down significantly, so I can share with you what that might look like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We've been through a similar rationalization of technology systems at IMC USA, and your membership was one of the ones we chose to eliminate, primarily over cost. So I'm
It
just
is
curious
expensive. Yeah.
what you guys are spending. I'm more interested in the core membership administration pieces than, we're not running large programs. We don't need everything that ICMCI is doing, but
Yeah, for
Sorry,
sure.
I
Yeah.
missed the name of the one that you said was very costly.
That's the Your Membership platform, Norma. Yeah, that's if it's costly in the US, it's also billed in the US dollar outside of the United States. And so there's
Okay.
exchange rate variability on that expense, but it is known in the industry for being quite an expensive platform. I should share just based on what Dan is saying as well. I've investigated other association management systems just to see what's out there. I will say that this space has very low maturity for technological capability to go to some association management websites, to go review case studies, for example, and then to have website not found or 404 errors in multiple vendors that I consider to be larger players is an indication that there is low maturity. And so your membership is considered a more mature one. As you look at cheaper solutions, you'll find that they might meet your very basic needs, but expect nothing fancy and nothing beyond the very basic, and they will not customize for you. So if you have any questions around that, I could share with you vendors that I've identified that may be more reliable, but I'm not sure if this is going to be published on the YouTube, so I don't want to be naming names necessarily. Yeah.
That's fair.
We had to choose a collection of solutions because the uh, membership administration platforms were either very expensive
Yeah.
or weak or immature, like you're saying.
Or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
if I can continue, I've got a couple other questions. One would be what are the core membership databases across those platforms? I'm curious whether that lives in your membership primarily
Yes.
or Monday or somewhere else.
Your membership is considered a system of record for membership data. Its functionality for managing someone through a certification process is like frankly absent. And that's why we have Monday.com administering that as a record at the front end. But in terms of their member information, all of that is in our Your Membership platform, and that's the system of record. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. I would love to
Right.
dig into that in more detail with you, maybe in a separate call if you're open.
Yeah, I put my email address in there, Dan, so I'll put it on you
Yes.
if you'd like to reach out, please. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And folks, feel free to put any questions in the chat as well. I see Stephen's hand up. Stephen?
Yes, thanks. Chris, one of the questions I had after I actually saw your recorded presentation this morning on the earlier session. One of the questions I had was, to what extent was your current design intentional, or to what extent it emerged organically? Now, towards the end of your presentation, I think you kind of started to address that, how you got to where you are. But if you can just briefly, how, I know you have some integration. You mentioned the use of the APIs. To what extent did you step back, look at the big picture and say, all right, these are the components we need? Or to what extent you really were building it as you go along?
I did that this year. In my previous organization, we had IT spend in the millions around subscriptions, and my goal was to reduce that by 60%, which I came very close to achieving. And so that when I started in June, I started looking at like, hey, what are our major expenses? Where are they going? What value is this adding? And IT was an area I focused on because there's a lot of small recurring expenses that seem small, but when you add them all together, they're actually quite a large expense over the annum or the year. And so when I came in, I applied that intention very rigorously to it, which got us to our current state, which at that point in time was our future state. Before that, I think it evolved based on needs. Like, Monday was probably acquired for like one particular reason, and as we learned about it as an organization, you realize it does other things, and then you start to use it here and there. So I sense that's how it evolved. It would appear to me that at all times requirements and needs were always considered in advance of purchasing a solution, which is generally recommended practice. It's just that I think sometimes we're getting a solution for needs that it's like, well, really, does that need a solution just because one exists for it? Probably not. And so I did things like that to try to just question the value and then rationalize downwards. But our big shift was our learning management system because that's your first introduction to the profession, and I wanted that to be really good. So.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem, Stephen. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have more discussion, but perhaps this is a good time for us to show the video from IMC New Zealand from Scott. So Kuzema, could you put that up, please? Oh, sorry, Sue had a question before we started with
I think
And Charmaine as well, Norma.
yeah,
and
Charmaine,
oh, sorry,
also.
Charmaine, I missed that. So just hold on to Scott's presentation. Go ahead, Charmaine, and then Sue.
Yeah.
Charmaine, go ahead.
Well, certainly a comment as well as a question. So I wanted to, thank you for your presentation. It was very clear. We actually in our IMC use all of the all of the very same tools, if you will.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So that's good for us. What I probably will reach out to you directly as well, because in terms of the integration aspect of it, that's what we're currently working on and some of the workflows. And so that's, to get the detailed workflows or identify what some of the issues are, probably a conversation would be good to help to eliminate that for us so that we can move forward. But thank you so much.
Okay,
Oh
great.
yeah, anything I can do to help, Charmaine, happy to do that. Yeah, especially for the Caribbean folks. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
And
awesome.
Sue?
Yes, I just wanted quickly, a lot of the message I'm putting out now is around readiness of IMCs. So by using all of these systems and processes, does that reassure me that actually you're always operational? So I could turn up at any time in the next 3 years and an assessment would go through okay. So we wouldn't have to wait for you to prepare documentation, to prepare processes, because it's already in place and you're running it on a regular basis.
Is that a question, Susan?
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, well, for me, I'm a former chief finance officer, and like audits can come at any point in time.
Yeah.
And so the point of, I would say, the point of the quality assurance process is not to test you for quality at a point in time. It's to ensure that you're always operating with that
Always.
quality and rigor. And in Canada, we have specific legislation as well that requires us to have additional rigor beyond the requirements of even the designation. And so, yeah, that is always my expectation, and any kind of deviations that occur inside the operations are things that I will very quickly work to remediate because it affects the integrity of the designation.
Okay, that's excellent. And the word I use all the time is always.
Yes.
So it's very
I
reassuring.
mean, 1 a.m., you might get a different quality of response from Chris, but yeah, I try to always be ready for whatever questions or scrutiny, because I receive scrutiny as well, like inside of Canada.
Yeah,
From
sure.
our institutes. And so, it's important for me that, like any good management consultant, everything we do is provable and defensible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
And yeah, as I say, it's a good thing for me to look at in terms of good practice. So thank you so much for that.
My pleasure,
Thank
Susan.
you.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so let's listen to Scott now about the New Zealand experience. So we share the video.
Greetings to everyone from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm Scott Rogers. I'm the president of the Institute of Management Consultants New Zealand. I'm also an active consultant. IMCNZ is a small institute with a diverse and very engaged membership base, to which we are so grateful. And all of the elements I will talk to here are the result of contribution work and highly engaged input from our members. So to get started, I'll share my screen. So firstly, a quick summary of our digital environment. Our membership system, website, financial systems, and payment systems are integrated. We can create events in Membership Works and publish them directly onto the website, where members can register and pay for events or annual membership fees using Stripe, which then updates Membership Works and Xero financial record. Not without issues, because the different systems have different requirements for how they treat things, but generally it works well. We know who our members are, their financial status, and important details about CMC qualified members, so we can keep track of our responsibilities. While I won't be talking further about these administration functions. If there's any questions you have or you want to know more, please contact me or any member of our institute. Certainly put you in touch with the right people. But I want to talk about our digital deployments of our competency framework and how we've got to that point and what you can use. I'll be very clear up front. The ICMCI Competency and Skills Development Framework is built upon solid global foundations. It is built upon the CMC Competence Framework and the CMC Common Body of Knowledge, and those foundations are core to the integrity of the system. Our team has developed it to accurately surface consulting skills capabilities, to clearly define where consultants can grow their skills. It is a skills development foundation for all levels of the profession, from student through to profession leader. It is written for and uses language appropriate to a non-expert audience to ensure it is accessible to everyone. ICMCI used the framework as a structure for our events and training and wider education programs. It guides us to promote and build a broad range of skills that consultants require. There's also a strong guide for aspiring CMC candidates to better prepare them for assessment. The framework. We have 8 framework aspects and 36 competencies that capture the full range of consulting skills. We have strengthened our business management and client engagement and soft skills areas because in economies like ours, we have a lot of independent consultants who need to start, build, and sustain consulting businesses. So everything you see on the screen from now on are available directly from the website. So please go and explore for yourself. Assess My Consulting is a free online self-assessment survey tool. All you need to do is answer some online questions, which will take you around 5 to 7 minutes to complete. Self-assessment is anonymous. First released in 2016, this is version 2 we're on now, and it was rewritten following the release of our competency framework and skills framework in 2024. It dives straight into a survey series of survey questions about the competencies. The questions are behavioural. It asks you about what you do and how you think you work. Once you finish the questions, you get a detailed report on your consulting skills. It's highlighting where there may be opportunities for growth and comparison to different levels of experience. And again, the details of the report are confidential to you unless you choose to share them. After completing the assessment, you can choose to download a PDF of your report. And each report has a unique URL that you can use to compare to follow-up reports in the future. These examples are generic. They're examples. Go in and try it for yourself if you haven't already done so. It will take you less than 10 minutes. In the current system, so far, we've recorded 1,563 assessments from 23 countries. By far, the highest number of assessments are from Canada, followed by the Philippines, United States, and New Zealand. The list of countries and assessment count from each and anonymous high-level results from recent assessments are online at this address. 72% of people completing the assessment rates rate themselves in the foundation in experience level. while 8% rate themselves as CMC or above, practitioner and advanced. This suggests that many people rate themselves with a low level of experience, but their assessment score suggests a higher capability. Short and sweet. Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to your questions. With the qualifier that I'm not the expert and may well need to go and find the answers to get to you after this event. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Huzaima, may I ask that you put Scott's email in the chat? And for everyone to know, we will be putting the video of this session as well as the morning one into the YouTube. You'll be able to listen to Scott's presentation maybe on a higher note there. Plus, you would have his personal presentation, which he did in the morning session. And any question could be sent to him via email.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Rima. So any comments or linkages that you see between the two presentations and any questions you have?
Yes, I do have a question. Well, I mean, I know Scott isn't here, but perhaps Raymond might be in a position to answer. The membership works product that was referred to, I'm a bit curious to know about what its capabilities are. I know it's for managing membership records, but I would like to know a bit more about it. What you currently using it for? What's the scope of the functionality it's providing to you? So I know if everyone would be able to address that.
Yes. Well, the membership works is linked to our accounting software Xero. It's also linked to our website online registration, and it's also integrated with MailChimp for our event management and member communications. To be fair, I was quite impressed with Chris' presentation earlier on the automated process. In my case, I'm the administrator for all of the systems apart from MailChimp, and there is still manual process required. I hope that answers your question, Stephen.
Yes. Okay. So I since the presentation this morning, I have found the website, so I'm going to have a look at it. I mean, the idea of a platform to manage the membership interaction, I think, is something that's important to all IMCs, and certainly for us in the Caribbean as well. So it's one of the options I think is worth looking at, even if not for the use of the particular platform, but for at least understanding the capabilities. So if anything, I suppose I can reach out to you or Scott.
Yeah, no, happy to answer any of your questions. Yes.
Norma, if I may, I could comment on Stephen's question.
Yes,
from
please.
our perspective.
Go ahead, Dan. Of course.
Stephen, when we recently moved from your membership and shopped around for other membership platforms, we explored Membership Works and chose a different tool. I don't remember right now why we chose the other tool, but if you're in the WordPress community in particular, Membership Works is an option. What we chose for IMC USA was MemberPress, which is also a WordPress plugin. And I'd be happy to share more. If I dug out my notes, I'd have more information on why we chose MemberPress over Membership Works, if you're interested in more detail about that. And I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay, sure. Yes, thanks.
Excellent. And one of the things that I thought was very interesting in terms of Scott's presentation, he spoke about assessmyconsulting.com, and he made the point that many people from Canada, many of the consultants from Canada were using that app. So I don't know if anyone here has used it. and what is the feedback that you have received about the assessmyconsulting.com, which is looking at it from a behavioral perspective? Anybody is familiar? No?
Well, I was not familiar with it until today, so I'm going to have a look at it now that I've found out about it.
That's correct. Chris, I realize that many Canadians have been using it. I'm not sure of how many, what percentage of other IMCs, but what sort of feedback have you got from assessmyconsulting.com?
Well, first, I will say the consulting profession generally is fairly large. And so we could be attracting folks that are IT consultants, marketing consultants, and so on. So I was not aware of the tool myself, and I haven't received feedback on it. In Canada, we mimic a similar functionality with Typeform, where folks fill in different information to understand, but that's all relative in the context of certification pathway. We don't look at like their soft skills or their process or anything like that at that stage. So it could be an opportunity for sure. Yeah. And sometimes I will say too, our type form, we do get non-Canadians that also fill out our type form, but the assess my consulting skills there sounds way more capable than type form. So I like that idea.
And Chris, I put the link in the chat. It is actually the way they describe it, that it is an ideal strategy and personal development tool for a certified management consultant and those aspiring to enter the consulting industry. So it is also focused on what the ICMCI competence framework is all about and the path to the CMC.
Yes.
Yeah, perhaps I could provide some clarification here. So as Scott mentioned, the tool was developed in 2016. So it is before the 2700 standard was developed. And of course, recently in 2024, we updated the tool, but there were very minor changes as such. And I guess the tool is really which is why it's got really popular over the years, especially as we mentioned in the Canadian universities and students and new consultants have used it quite a bit. It is not completely aligned to the so for example, ICMCI's own training on the assessments. So there is still a lot of work to do. I guess one of the key objectives, because again, this is a few years ago now, was to raise awareness of the consulting profession. And it was very useful for us to have a tool and people come in and they use it and do their self-assessment. When it comes to the CMC certification and pathway, we have not really developed that yet. And I'm speaking probably as a IQA assessor as such. What I can see, there is the opportunity to use the same thinking around API integration and workflows to develop pathways for new entrants to the consulting industry. So the end-to-end process. So what you saw with Access My Consulting is independent, it's separate from a CMC assessment process. Chris, I think you mentioned briefly your integration on the end-to-end process where an applicant puts in an application or goes through training, automatically updates its profile or its competency, whether the gaps or whether it's alignment. I think that's where I think ICMCI could actually look at in terms of using technology to provide, I guess, additional services for others that's going through a whole career progression. I mean, that's certainly something that I'm looking at because I've got an enterprise systems background as well as an education background, and I taught in universities. And when we create a subject or syllabus, we always think from the beginning to the end, right? what is the student hoping to achieve when it goes through the training, and how are we going to access the competencies after that. So that's my personal view. And in the earlier sessions, PK Lim's question to Nick, I think, where he's coming from is consistency when it comes to the triennial assessment. So it'd be helpful. I mean, now it's good. I mean, Susan, you made a comment that for assessors, you have a confidence where you look at it. There is a workflow, a proper assessment, how it's being used, criteria, etc. So if we could, perhaps, I guess, if you think of it, Nick, sorry, Chris, this is something that I'd like to discuss with you offline, is when someone puts an application, doesn't meet the CMC criteria, you direct them to a training platform with the correct modules in place. Yep. I mean, of course, we need to consider the cost of that. And you can bring the person, with assessments along the way. You can kind of move the person from being someone that's new to be absolutely experienced. So sorry, I've spoken too much time now, but no, I'm really excited with how digitization, the event of AI could actually enhance the profession globally.
Okay, thank you very much. Otto, you had your hand up, and let me just say that this morning, and I should have said it at this point, that the 1 hour was not quite enough, so we did go over the hour. But if you have to leave, we fully understand. And those of you who can stay a little longer to interact, to learn more from each other, please feel free to do so. Otto, you had your hand up?
Yes, just very quickly, that since you were talking about platforms that can support to handle some of the stuff, there is one who some of you might have already checked, which is Bitrix 24. It is not exactly...
Sorry, could you say the name again?
Bitrix 24.
Okay.
This is something similar to Soho. It is not particularly aimed at membership specifically, but it has around 35 tools, all already integrated. So you can do there your website, the CRM, substitutes the drives, substitutes the task and projects kind of stuff like Monday, substitutes MailChimp or something similar. So you have all in one package. You can start free, and the cost, which is something that in both sessions people has talked about, is not that much, depending on if you want to go that way. You even have the video calls and everything. So if you start eliminating what subscriptions all that amounts to, it may pay for itself just by consolidating the tools. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. And I think there was somebody else that had their hand up.
Susan, I think, Norma.
Susan.
Yeah. Just quickly, IQA does have a lot of process improvement projects that we're looking at for this year. So watch this space basically for that.
Okay, that's fine. Nick, this morning you made some very important points about ICMCI's initiatives in utilizing the technology.
Yeah, I can repeat them again now if you like.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean what we've seen this morning, and I have to say what I saw while I was with our colleagues in Australia as well, is that some of our member IMCs have developed some excellent tools and apps and systems. And it's very tempting for an organization to try to standardize everything so that everybody is working with the same platform, doing the same things. That approach will definitely not work for ICMCI because we have such a wide diversity of size, capability of our IMCs, and different cultures, different languages. Therefore, the approach that we need to take in ICMCI is for us at the centre to be much more of a, if you like, coordinator between all these different systems, not to reinvent the wheel for ourselves. For instance, Canada has some excellent training courses run on LMS. Australia again have developed super ISO 20700 course. There is no point in reinventing those wheels, but we need to find a way whereby ICMCI can coordinate between them, make those excellent courses available to all of the consultants in our community. Now, we are about to launch in ICMCI a thing called our Credentials Hub, which will operate through our commercial arm, Services Inc. That Credentials Hub will provide basically lifelong learning and a development path for consultants, including micro-credentials against which they can get certified for specialist areas of consulting, mid-level certification on the way to CMC, and eventually the CMC certification as well. So that is going to be built centrally, but I don't suggest it would be a good idea to replicate in that centre these courses which have already been developed by member institutes. So what I hope we'll be able to do is from the Credentials Hub Centre, we'll be able to link to those courses and enable through the Credentials Hub consultants to take advantage of those individual training opportunities in some of our member institutes. So I can see ICMCI acting as a coordinator between all the different developed courses and systems, and also an overseer that all of them actually comply with all our standards and our principles as well. So, that's the principle that I'd like to get across to everybody in the way we work for the future. And of course, the opportunity is for member institutes to develop courses which can be promoted and linked to through the Credentials Hub as a source of revenue, because all the courses which Credentials Hub will put on will be paid for by the consultants, and a share of that would go to whoever has developed and provides the course. So this is a major opportunity for member IMCs to be part of that system. And take the opportunity to develop courses and propose them to go through that centre. There's a long way to go in developing that, I have to say. This is not going to happen overnight, but and those of you that have been involved in doing this sort of thing know the story. But as long as we get this principle established, then we can work as fast as possible to get the thing in operation and help everybody get some benefit out of it.
Excellent, because what we're looking for is a win-win at many different levels. I would just like to acknowledge one of the members of our management, our MGDC, Jetta Bakija, who is our secretary, and we know you had a lot of other activities going on. So thank you for joining us. And I think when we introduced Joseph Nashak, I'm not sure what the full name is, was not there. Welcome, Joseph. And which country are you from, Joseph? Okay, I'm not sure if he's on. Okay.
He's from Nigeria.
He's from the Nigerian group. Great. and I think I welcomed you, Carmel, when you came in, so I'm not sure if you heard it.
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
We have had some interesting sharing and questions and learning, and a lot of recognizing that there are many things that we have in common, many issues and challenges that we have in common, and the technology is there that we can utilize, and how can we utilize it more effectively for the benefit of our IMCs and our relationships with clients, colleagues, and our networks. I don't know if there are any other questions or comments that people who are present would like to make or raise. Okay. Everybody has been, it's a lot to take in, and there are tremendous opportunities for us to really utilize the technology much more effectively than we have been doing within our IMCs. And so you can see that when you do that, when IQA does their assessments of the IMCs, that there are many areas in which we can improve. And one of the things would be, we don't need to share all the details because there's confidentiality out of the assessments, but it may be possible just to remind IMCs, hey, there are different ways in which you can use the technology more effectively to enable you to do what you have to do. And part of the mission of our MGDC is to build and the capacity of our IMCs, not only for us to engage them, but also to support them in functioning effectively. So on that note, if there's no other, yes, go ahead, Raymond.
Yeah, I think the two sessions I've learned a lot from it. Perhaps there's an opportunity to also look at how digitization or using digital technology could enhance the communication between the institutes. So, now we're still sort of, every time it's either newsletters or referring to each other's links. And, when there are magazines or articles or white papers being written by the other IMCs, it probably takes a while to get circulated around the world. So perhaps it's an avenue to sort of, I guess, demonstrate, well, we are a global institute, right? So collectively, we've got, a lot of resources that absolutely would sort of differentiate ourselves with other organizations or even professions. So yeah, that's my kind of, thinking. Yeah, it's not far, might be far-fetched, but I hopefully with the next couple of years, we could actually do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the potential is there. The key question is, what's the best tool, or what are the best tools to use that are cost effective, that are effective, and that would enable our IMCs. It's not only the communication within the IMCs, but between IMCs to help us build our community more effectively. Okay, so you had another comment, and we
Yes,
can make it your
just
final
saying that obviously utilizing tools is great. And I know everyone gets very bored with me saying this same message, but that we've faced many challenges as IQA in going forward with assessments. And I appreciate some of them are unavoidable, but as I was talking to Chris earlier, it's all about always being operational, always being ready for an assessment. It shouldn't really take several months to prepare everything. So my apologies for that message, but it is one that I will keep talking about. But obviously, looking at the way things work today with tools and technologies, I mean that's brilliant. So yeah, let's do more of that, please.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yep, maybe you can keep saying it until everybody falls into line.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, folks, on that note, I would like to say thank you. Thank you to Chris and to Scott, who shared their specific experiences. Thanks to Rima and Kuzema, who have been the backbone behind us. Thanks to all of the members of the subcommittee who have helped to pull this together and do the assessment, our membership survey, to be able to do it. And to all of you who participated and contributed, I really appreciate this. And we have had some rich discussions. And what is nice is it's recorded. Rima is going to put it up on the YouTube through the website, and therefore we will be able to share it with others. And all of this is in the process of helping us to enhance not only our relationships between IMCs, but our approaches within our IMCs to make us more effective. So thank you all for your contribution and participation. And we look forward to seeing you at another experience exchange or at our next conference, which is going to be in Istanbul in October. So you never know who is going to be there. Thank you very much all.